Today we're going to talk about a topic that I actually read in an article. I believe it was maybe even 10 years ago, maybe Deer and Deer Hunter. But the article topic is something that has stuck with me for years, and that I have really, it was just a topic that one of those ones that just sticks with you. And the topic was why Storm Front Bucks don't stand a chance. And that's so powerful when you start placing, especially in today's age, about how we know just how we know what's coming and how we can stay ahead of a mature buck during a storm front. The first thing that we're going to talk about today, guys, is the number one thing on the list here is the pre-rut that's coming here shortly. We are in the middle of October. You've hopefully transitioned. You're not seeing as much of the October lull as it's labeled because of the in my world is because of what I teach and preach, is because of the pressure, obviously. Hopefully things in the area, not only yourself but in the area, didn't get to that point that you're really struggling right now watching this or during this time. It can be a great time. The problem with it is a lot of the areas in the country, and it's a nationwide thing, guys. Don't take it personal. I live in Michigan and travel the country, and if there's anybody that knows about why the October lull is what it is, it's me and guys like me that hunt in high pressure, live in high pressure states. So don't take it personal. But if it may not be you. We had some comments on a video, some time ago that you guys are doing everything right. Felt like you were doing everything right, and so it can't be pressure. Well, it's not only you. Unless you're in an area where there's 400 acres stacked up on parcels stacked up on top of each other, then maybe that there's something else going on in your area. But if you're listening to this and you're tuning in and you're one of the small parcels that are 80% of my parcels, like I had said before, are on 80 acres and less, you are experiencing the October lull because of pressure, because of the area in general. So that's a point to keep in mind. So back to the topic here. The pre-rut is a follow the leader situation. When you get into a follow the leader situation, that's what makes the storm fronts and the pre-rut combined together. That's what makes it so powerful. You have to be able to know that the storm front is coming. How do you use that? We're going to talk about that, or where do you get that information? We're going to talk about that in the end. But the storm front is something that we know is coming, that we know is coming, and the deer in general know, bucks and does, the whole herd knows that it's coming. The power that you have, that we have, that they don't, is they don't have a register or an app to turn on that tells them how long that storm is going to last. Now, I truly believe that they know that it's depending on the time of the year, depending on the pressure, depending on the heat, they know if it's going to be rain versus snow, obviously, or how severe the storm front's going to be. But I don't believe that they know how long the storm front's going to be. Because the reason that I feel that way is because my experience going all the way back into the days of growing up in the whitetail world and also going into guiding is I have never seen that intention, that storm front intention ever change. It's always a feeding frenzy, if you will, and hopefully you're able to take advantage of that. And the way that you take advantage of that is knowing that follow the leader mentality. The follow the leader mentality is all based on what? It's based on the doe. It's not based on the buck. So we're all focused because of trail cameras and our want to hang those antlers on the wall. We're not focused on the follow the leader mentality. It has to be something very strong that you know of. This has to be a reason why you're in the one of the topics is here. We're going to kind of take them out of line here, but the topic is scrapes. Why are scrapes this time of the year so powerful when you know that a storm front is coming? Because obviously if you know a storm front is coming, that's where you're going to focus your attention on an area that has the most attention or most traffic right now, right? So you've probably seen that transition from your food plots. Now the scrapes are popping up. Now we're starting to focus our attention on the scrapes. That's where the two first points under here are tied together. One is that's how we get ourselves in trouble. We know that the storm front's coming. We start picking and choosing our stand locations, and what happens is like this weekend's a perfect example. The weather was warm and not a lot of hanging in the stand and trying to be successful. I myself and my son were out doing some stand adjustment. We actually hung a new stand on some new movements that we've got on one of the farms. And so that's a lot what's happening. Why is that so important? Why are we chatting about that? Is because that's what gets us in trouble. The reason that the topic that that can get them in trouble is checking their scrapes this time of the year. You're going to start seeing the scrape activity explode here within the next week, but we're also going to see the explosion of folks going to that point of impact, changing their thought mentality from off the food plots. Hopefully, if you follow along with any of my videos, you weren't on the food plots, but being realistic here, probably 90%, 80% of the people that are watching this are still hunting the destination feed locations. And then they're transitioning off from those, and you're putting your intention. So this is the pattern. There's three things that I see that's happening. Might as well touch on it while we're right here. The three things that happen is destination feed location hunting starts on feed on the destination itself, whether that's a large ag situation or a food plot. So it starts there. The pressure bumps the deer off from the destination feed locations or your food plots, and they head to like we have talked before, they head to the oaks. The reason that they're into the oaks is pressure. One of the reasons that they're in the oaks is pressure. So what does our hunting mentality or predator mentality do? So we go to the oaks as well, right? So now that we've bumped the deer in most cases, now we've bumped the deer out of that because we're hunting the destination feed location as well, because they're not making it all the way out to the food plots. So now we've destroyed that location for them. So now going into the end of October here, the middle of October, focusing on the end of October. Now the transition, the thought process is their scrapes are exploding, and now the mentality for the hunting agenda has focused towards the scrapes. So now we have 3 points of impact that are destroyed. 3 possible hunting situations that have been destroyed because of pressure. And that's what makes the mock scrapes so important. That's why you see in these videos that I set these stands up with that experience, with that mentality of a fall mentality because of the pre-rut, knowing that you can hunt these locations on a storm front. That's why it gets them in trouble, because they follow the leader in the first topic here. They follow the does. So we have to be focused on letting those does be relaxed, going to the destination feed locations time and time again, and not interrupting that situation. And then hunting behind those does, having the stands already in location, already having the mock scrapes that you hung in the summer, already having the deer dander there. The licking branch itself is all covered up in that preorbital gland smell, and they are accustomed to coming there. You have created a line of travel patterns, and you're hunting there. And if you have to tweak them a little bit because of some movement or some contour that you didn't see, that's one thing. But totally going in and focusing your attention, which happens a lot, especially on a lease where you only have a couple of days, or a weekend situation where you didn't focus your attention on the storm fronts, and you just wanted to be in the woods October 1st, let's say, and you hunted in there, and now you're back, and like this weekend, you hunted again on the weekends, and the scrapes popped up, and now we have moved our trail cameras onto the scrapes. We've moved stand to the scrapes, and now we're putting stuff in the scrapes. So you can see where this is all going here. The last topic on that point, on number 1 here, guys, is our water holes. I use October 20th or 21st. Usually it's the 20th every year that I just run off that number to tell folks that you need to start, if those water holes, whether you're on public ground and you found a water source, or you're on private ground and you've implemented a water hole, you need to have the trail camera on that mock scrape and water hole combination, or just the water tank. You need to have that, the water hole there, you need to have that camera running on there, is because one thing, you should be doing 2 things. If it's on a property that you've hunted before and that buck has played his cards, which we're going to talk about here in the next step, he's played his cards and he was already there, and he's already told you that he's going to be there from years past, and you start looking back, you're going to see that October 20th, 21st, 22nd, 24th, you're going to start seeing those dates over and over and over again in your history of trail cameras. That is when you know that the pre-rut is in full swing, and then you start taking in the consideration of the storm fronts, and that is the recipe to make that the first topic here that we're talking a success. The second thing that we're going to tie into here, guys, is now we've studied the pre-rut. We've talked about storm fronts on the pre-rut. We've talked about now we're going to move into the second topic here is the rut. What happens is what I see is this ever so powerful piece of the puzzle, number 2, the rut, is destroyed already before we even get there. And why is that? It's because of the one topic that we talked about in number 1, the scrapes. That is their information station. Going into the rut, the bucks, you will see, start focusing on less feeding, and they need more information. They need more information to know what their daily schedule is going to be. And that starts at the water hole. That starts because they're needing that water source more because they're eating less. They need more water, and they're hitting those areas. Why are they hitting those areas? 1, to get that water requirement that they need because they're on their feet. 2 is because it's less feedings, so they're getting what they can get in a very short window. Your cell cameras, your trail cameras are going to show you that. What they're going to find is you're going to have deer in the early season pre-rut hanging out. You know, your camera's going to go off, let's say 2 or 3 times if you have it set to 15 seconds of a video like I do on my hit listers here from Meyer cameras. They're going to go off at, you know, time and time again. You might get 3-4 videos of him early season or during the pre-rut at that licking branch or in that water hole. But when the end of the pre-rut going into the rut, it's going to be quick. If you start looking back, this will make sense. You're going to see bucks come in, they hit the licking branch, they maybe urinate in the scrape, and they get a drink of water and they're gone. So you might get 10 seconds of them in that first, or maybe you might get a whole 15 second video of them, but you're not going to get 2, 3, 4 of them in a row usually. So, and that all ties into not disturbing that, not ruining that in the pre-rut, is that, slow and steady wins the race mentality, is to take advantage of this. And then the last topic of that in the rut spectrum here is the lockdown. In the lockdown, if you're in an area, let's just use this for an example. If you go out of state on a hunt and you're with an outfitter, or you're hunting with a hunting party or whatever that case is, and you're not successful during what they labeled the lockdown, is because you're hunted for 5 days and all the deer in the world obviously were on lockdown for 5 days, and sorry about your luck, but you didn't kill a buck with us. That's the biggest myth, or I should do a video on that. That's the biggest lie in the entire world, is because, well, the reason was that you weren't successful during the lockdown is because of 2 things. Because the deer numbers control that as far as doe numbers, and the most powerful thing is you weren't in the right spot. You weren't in the right spot at the right time, taking advantage of that lockdown. A doe's estrus is between 22 and 28 hours is the estrus of a whitetail doe. Now you do the math. The buck has to be on his feet between that. He has to be somewhere scouting out the next doe. The best case scenario in the world is making sure your doe numbers are correct. So he has to search. If the doe numbers are too high, then he just walks out into the food plot, obviously, or the destination feed location in the middle of the night and finds another willing doe. And now he's on another lockdown for another 24 hours. Before you know it, you're a week into this, and now the rut has subsided and you didn't experience the rut. That is the reason that if you were in one of those situations and you weren't successful, and somebody told you that you didn't kill during that 5-day window because all the bucks were on lockdown, it doesn't happen that way. It's not scientifically possible for that deer to be on a or lockdown for an entire 5 days. He has to change the situations after that doe is bred. The situation changes and he's searching for another doe. He has to get up on his feet and move to do that. That's why the power of which is a totally separate video, but that's, like we said, the power of having your deer numbers right and the bucks cruising to find that. The object is to making sure that your window of opportunity is correct in the right location to take advantage of that when he is searching for the next doe. Without the mock scrape, and you just have scrapes all over your property, or you're implementing too many scrape locations, natural scrape locations, and you're chasing the movement of that buck, it's taking way too many steps, especially on small parcels. You're putting way too much scent, way too much pressure on your property, when you could be in the right spot with a licking branch, taking advantage of that. and creeping up, like here in Michigan, the peak of our rut is the 13th of November. You know that you're leading up to that. You know you're going to have some, the closer you get to the 13th, you know you're going to get some lockdown situations happening. But the object is knowing that storm front coming into that, and when that storm front hits, you have to be in those locations. At some point during that storm front of a 24 or a 48-hour storm front, let's say, that comes through, a 1 or 2 day storm front, somewhere during that 22 and 28-hour period of a lockdown, that buck's going to get back up on his feet in our breeding, or that peak estrus of the doe in that 22 to 28 hours. That buck's going to get back up on his feet and be searching for another receptive doe. That's what knowing that the storm front is there, knowing the winds, the power of the storm front, being in that stand when that happens. That has to be on your number one thought process during reading the storm front, and then knowing, because it's a feeding frenzy for the does. So the does are in feeding frenzy mentality, so they are moving out there. But when they are transitioning from their bedding areas, they're getting up and going to their destination feed locations because of the storm is coming, and they're in that feeding mentality. Their thought process is eating. That triggers a biological, movement, if you will, that the does are up on their feet and they're moving, which makes the bucks, if they're not in that lockdown in that 22 to 28 hour period, they are searching. What happens is the does stop at the scrapes. The does are letting them know at their information station, where they're collecting all this information. And if you've got 20 different scrapes, natural scrapes out on a property, when you could focus their attention on 1, 2, or 3 of those, and only have more of the information at those stations that they're going to have at a natural licking branch, why in the world would you not have one? So that's the power of the scrapes, and knowing, watching that forecast to make sure you're in that stand at the right time. So now we're going to end this with the three things here, and that just goes over the third topic is storm fronts. The 5 day, knowing that you're 5 day out. I use obviously deer cast, but there's hunt cast out there as well. Tying your local weather into that, and knowing right straight out that a storm front is the most powerful piece of the puzzle, whether it's the pre-rut or the rut. And you have to understand that you have to be in the right spot at the right time. Why storm front bucks don't stand a chance is because when they don't stand a chance is when all these things that we've just talked about are in place and you are ready to take advantage of it. 95% of the time is out in the hunting world, in our world, our side of it, the hunter side of it, is we don't have the correct days set aside for those because we burnt them up on October 1st openers of archery season, November 15th. We've planned them for November 15th rifle season. And this is the vacation portion of this, is being able to be in the woods at the right time. Is if you don't have the opportunity, if you're not self-employed, or you don't have the opportunity to tell the boss, the first part of the week that, hey, there's a storm front coming the middle of the week on Wednesday, I need Tuesday off. If you don't have that luxury, what you need to do is you need to use your backdated weather underground. Go back on your trail cameras. You need to check keep the October 20th, 21st time period in mind. And you need to have those, and then going into the rut that first week of November, you need to have those dates already picked out. You need to make it a point that if there's 15 other guys or other hunters in your business that you work for are applying for those same times as well, more incentive to study your information, that we're on these information stations according to your storm fronts that happened last year, and really study when you should be there. And hopefully you have a chance to make that decision when the storm front is coming in, and a week out on your 10-day forecast out, you can see that coming, and you can talk to your boss and you can get those. The fact of the matter is, if you've already burnt up your vacation days, you're not going to have a chance to hunt take advantage of why the storm front is so powerful, and why storm front bucks don't stand a chance. You're not going to experience that if you don't have any vacation days, right? So it's a strategy on our end, and all these things stacked together, guys. This is why storm front bucks don't stand a chance, is because if all of the the pieces of the puzzle align and all the stars align for us, we have to do our part as hunters to be in the right spot at the right time. And if you've taken anything from this video, take the mock scrapes to the forefront of this, and make sure that you're setting these tree stands up off your destination feed locations. You're already set up in these locations, and you're waiting for the storm front. So when the storm front happens, you know exactly where you got to be, and those stands are already in place. You're not chasing the scrapes. The power of that message, why storm front bucks don't stand a chance, is something that we needed to chat about today.